Republicans love woke Wall Street. Trust me, Republicans love woke Wall Street, even though they will never admit it while they're running for office. And this is more than just campaign donations. It has nothing to do with that. Has to do with the Republicans having fallen, and myself, I'm no longer, hook, line, and sinker for the silliness of libertarian economic perspective. Libertarianism is just jumped the shark, dude. It's done. Done. At least I hope it is in the Republican Party. 100%. I never fell for the compassionate conservatism of George W. Bush because I was like, conservatism inherently is compassionate. Never had to state that, but I never liked that whole thing. And I would say, just let the free market work its way out. Well, there is no free market, and as such, the Republicans need to get on board to recognize the libertarians. All they're doing is they're selling your soul, dude. Some people, in office, Susan Collins, a Maine senator, Lindsey Graham, who's the other guy? Just Ben Sass, who just became University of Florida president, will win financially while we're all holding the wet bag. Stop supporting these fools. That does not mean you vote Democratic, but let's just go into this. This guy freaking kicks ass, Matt Stoller. Big lip. But you should subscribe to him on Substack because this guy, I love his writing. I guarantee he doesn't agree with me on social issues. It's weird that we can actually agree to disagree on some things and agree to agree on other things and get along. This piece continues a theme I'm fascinated by, which is an internal conflict within the Republican Party. It's about a lawsuit by Wall Street and big tech to have the CFPB, which is trying to stop banks from discriminating against customers, declared unlawful. If Wall Street is successful, they will be empowering banks to deny banking services to conservatives. Yep, 100%. All right, so the other day I sat down to read an important sociological book on tolerance and diversity. One of the endless books floating around to talk about conscious bias and unconscious bias. I pulled some quotes, and they should sound like Robin, what's the stupid name, D'Angelo, whatever that name's, white fragility. So here's some of the quotes. An ally is someone who transfers their privilege to someone who lacks that privilege. When we are willing to take on the struggles of others as our own, we are practicing allyship. It's like yoga. It's not a label, it's a practice. Another, stop using Caucasian as a euphemism for white. The term Caucasian was popularized by a white supremacist anthropologist in the 18th century, who I will not reference by name. Another, the overlapping interconnected identity of is called intersectionality. Some of our aspects of identity are more privileged aspects in society than others, but we're all mixed. And another term may be unfamiliar with some readers is Latin. This term replaces Latino and Latina, which are problematic due to gender and absorption of women's rights in the male-centric groups. Whatever happened to Latinx? Now that you've guessed, I'll let you know the source. DEI Foundations. From who? I can't see who the writer is. Is that Naomi? Is that see? I can't see. Anyway, it's from the American Bankers Association, which is the most powerful trade association in banking, mostly representing dominant Wall Street firms. I read this book because the ABA, along with the trade associations representing big firms called the Chamber of Commerce, is suing a bank regulator to preserve Wall Street's right to engage in discrimination. And it turns out we're all in the crosshairs. I'll throw one more quote at you. Some days I'm better at holding tree pose than other days. Some days I'm better than others at being an ally to someone who does not hold the same privileges I do. Yep, that's from the ABA DEI. This is diversity, equity, delusion. For the past 5 years, conservatives have finally noticed that dominant private firms who control key infrastructure are willing to use their power to censor, exclude them, as we can see by the January 6th insanity and Trumpster and all that. Traditionally, this notion that government should protect our rights has been a left-wing proposition, but increasingly conservatives are internalizing it as they deal with very large and powerful firms that have coercive power. Here's Ken Paxton. I love this guy from Texas Attorney General, who says, I just secured a massive victory for free speech by taking on big tech. All right, whatever. That's good, but all right, let's go. Crypto was one possible way out of this morass, but the collapse of those markets show that crypto is not ready for prime time. And this means the key entity that can protect conservatives from onslaught of private fascism, conservatism, running with government, is The federal government. That's the only protection we got, man. Is our own federal government, so they don't align with become fascist by basically aligning with Twitters and all that, which they're doing. We know they're doing this in some capacity. My goodness, have you not followed the stuff with Sniffy Joe and Twitter? It's crazy. They have yet to do it on a mass corporate financial yet, but they're trying to, dude. That's it. There's no other alternative. That's why Justice Clarence Thomas has been saying the federal government has a right to police tech platforms, that our government should force these networks to block discrimination against people based on a political point of view. It's why Texas passed a law saying the same thing about social media and why the Fifth Circuit upheld it. Yep. It's also why the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, asked firms like PayPal for information on how it makes such decisions on deplatforming. But there's a problem, and this is the populist right is running smack dab into the libertarians. For the last 40 years, conservatives aligned with the libertarians feared overreaching federal government, and we were wrong. Yeah, the government isn't as worrisome as now big corporation is. And any conservative who says otherwise doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm sorry. And there's plenty on this channel. Like, I'm worried about the government. Yeah, it's look, man, I was debating this guy about the moon landing, and because it didn't happen. And this guy said, I saw it with my eyes. And even Buzz Aldrin said he didn't see it. And I mean, and he's a conservative guy. So basically, the government is inept on everything that you think, except for the military and the moon landing and military NASA, essentially. But everything else are inept. It's crazy because a lot of conservatives just don't think either. I know I say liberals don't think. At this stage, I think it's 50-50. I think there's many ignorant. I'm not, remember, ignorant doesn't mean stupid. It just means they haven't looked into detail about things, if that makes sense. They just haven't. They breathe, and if it's on Fox News, it's right. If it's on MSNBC, it's wrong. The same goes for the left, too. If it's on MSN, I'm like, what if they're both wrong? Have you ever thought about that? What if they're both wrong? No. That challenges my worldview of red versus blue and white versus black. Let's see. But the power of libertarian thinking has fallen apart in right-wing circles, and for a number of reasons. Here's a clip of an event yesterday of the most prestigious libertarian think tank in D.C., the Cato Institute, in which an important clown describes the goal of having domestic manufacturing as a macho fetish. Let's see if we can't watch this. I'll probably be banned here. It also profoundly upset many left-wingers as well as labor unions. Let's see what... Okay, click and will let me do it. Let's see here. I'm not on Twitter, so I'm not sure it'll let me do it. I guess not. All right. Oh, man. This guy right here. This guy right here. At the Cato Institute, my friends. Adam Posen, who I guarantee never dug a ditch in his life, who's the head of the Peterson Institute. Again, I think it's Pete Peterson, big clown. He says a focus on domestic manufacturing is a fetish for keeping white males with low education in the powerful positions they are in. But he's on our side, Josh, because he's at the Cato. No, he's not on my side. This kind of open disdain for having domestic supply resiliency in the middle class is crushing libertarianism as a coherent viewpoint, 100%. Screw Reason Magazine, screw the Cato Institute. The fact they allow a clown like this on their platform, forget Cato. Cato, you are dead to me. Because I'm a white guy, all right? I'm a white guy from Maine. And let me tell you something, Cato Institute. What you guys are doing with your big freaking California donors to lobstermen up in Maine, you all can kiss my big fat behind. Never mind, I don't even know what else you're doing to other people throughout the world because we know this guy right here is stating explicitly, let's get rid of domestic manufacturing because it's a fetish for white males. Freaking scumbag. The Republican Party is populist in the streets, but libertarian in the sheets because was Ben Sass and what's the guy's name? Freaking Paul Ryan, who endorsed DeSantis, by the way. I'm telling you, I'm having a hard time with DeSantis. Not gonna lie to you, dudes. Not gonna lie to you. Having a hard time with that guy. I mean, I'd vote for him over freaking Kamala, whoever the hell the Democrats run, but Paul Ryan and Jeb Bush, they've all the bad guys all of a sudden come out now to support DeSantis. Like, are they doing that deliberately to put Trump back in? Because I don't know what's going on, but I'm not digging it, man. Let's see. All right. Take a very simple example. Big tech. The right ostensibly hates Amazon, Google, and Facebook, but they can't get themselves to support the government agency addressing it because it's run by a Democrat, Lena Khan. The FTC is investigating Amazon and has 2 antitrust suits against Facebook, one which would force them to divest from Instagram and WhatsApp and make censorship less likely. But conservative judges on the right are hearing a complaint against the FTC and that the CFPB is unconstitutional by Jim Jordan. And he's alleging that Khan is recruiting Marxists to the agency and will use it to target conservatives on school boards. But again, they're already targeted conservatives, man. Okay, hold on a second. I got to text my wife. Nope. Well, let me pause this. The FTC suit isn't the only legal case in which conservative judges will hear arguments about the federal regulatory power and be tempted to strike down the power of regulatory agencies who might actually put a check on big tech or Wall Street. A different one, financed by Wall Street and big tech, is perhaps more interesting. Wall Street Journal says the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, ABA, the American Bankers Association, asked the federal court to stop the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau from looking for discriminatory behavior when conducting routine examinations of financial firms. The ABA is a trade association with the bankers who we just talked about, DEI. After all, the CFPB was created by Elizabeth Warren, a bogeyman for conservatives. I fell for it. 100%. Anyway, I'll let you read the rest of the article, but it's fantastic. Subscribe to this guy. This guy, he's one of the good guys out there. There are many leftists who aren't, that's for sure. Matt Stoller is one of the good ones, that's for sure. And Stoller. And he's the one who identified the Cato Institute being anti-white, dude. And so as I sit here today, the libertarians and all the Reason magazines, the Cato Institute, that doesn't mean they don't have good stuff on occasion, AEI, American Enterprise Institute. But if they're allowing this kind of blatant racism on their platform, they need to be just left behind. They would never do that for any other group of people, ever. White guys they wouldn't even allow gay, say that about gays. But if you're a white guy and you're in a low class, white trash, redneck environment where you're working with your hands for some reason and you have no power, that's why they're on the chopping block, because they got no power. Same goes for black men, by the way. Black men are just one level above working white men in terms of. But if you're a black guy and you speak your own according to what you feel, as opposed to, you think Kwame Brown has anyone backing him when he speaks his truth? No, hell no. He doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Hell, YouTube has freaking banned him a couple times. So, like, don't get on this white versus black. And it's not that. It's class, not race or ethnicity or even religion. It's class. Anyway, so you got to stop this, Republicans, with your love of Wall Street and your love of capitalism, because this ain't capitalism. This isn't it, dude. Owen Benjamin, I tell you, it's funny because I chuckled at this. I was sharing my wife with this because one of her brothers worked as a postal carrier for many, many years. Owen Benjamin was banned everywhere. Literally, it was nuts. The only place he wasn't on PayPal, his wife was banned off Airbnb. For heaven's sake, his wife was. The only place he could actually do comedy was at a public library. The only way he could raise money until he set up his own server and all that was at the post office. You send him money through the post office. That is it. And so whenever anyone says, "Oh, when I sent you a letter and you didn't get it, the post office lost it," he gets mad. It's the funniest thing. I just like, don't you ever criticize the post office. They kept me afloat. The library kept me afloat. Facebook didn't. PayPal didn't. Airbnb didn't. Freaking the bankers didn't. Anyway, I love your thoughts. We'll see ya.